we're celebrating the Chinese New Year. So first of all, Happy New Year and good luck in the Year of the Dragon. Xin Chun Kuai Le, Long Nian Da Ji, Shen Ti Jian Kang, Wan Shi Ru Yi. Since this is the Chinese-Jewish conversation, we're going to compare the Chinese and Jewish New Years. Chinese New Year, the Spring Festival, is celebrated in the second new moon of after the winter solstice. Now, in our global world, we all understand that there are many ways of counting the New Years. Christians count the years from the birth of Jesus, a calendar that's accepted globally nowadays, which is why we think of this year as 2024. Jin Nian Shi Arling Arsa Nian. But that's only one way of calculating the new year. We Jews celebrate the new year in September, which is the new moon of the 7th lunar month on the Jewish calendar. And that was the 9th Chinese lunar month. Do you know what year it is for us Jews? It is 5,784. Jin Nian Shi Yotai Jin Nian Shi Wu Qian Qi Bai Ba Shi Se Nian. And that goes back to the creation of the world according to the Bible, according to ancient Jewish tradition. But actually, in Jewish tradition, we have 4 New Years that we will look at each individually. One actually often coincides with the Chinese New Year, which it happens around this time. And that's the new moon of Shvat, the New Year for trees. That's according to one tradition. And according to another tradition, it's on the 15th of Shvat, Tu B'Shvat, and that's on the full moon, Manue, and that's going to occur at the Lantern Festival in some years. So actually, sometimes Shvat actually coincides with the Chinese New Year that happened in 2023, and it'll happen again next year. And in that case, the Jewish New Year for trees is exactly on the Chinese New Year, and Tu B'Shvat falls out exactly on the Lantern Festival. So just like the old Chinese lunar calendar, the traditional Chinese calendar, there are 12 lunar months in the Jewish calendar. And here's another similarity. In Chinese, we count the months by numbers. Iyue, Aryue, Sanyue. It's not January, February, March. And that's actually the way it is in the Hebrew Bible. You'll also see, if you read the Bible in Chinese, you'll see it'll say Iyue, Aryue, Sanyue, but it's talking about the Jewish months. But it's, again, not names, it's just numbers. But in the late biblical period, the Jews were exiled from Israel to Babylonia, and they took the Aramaic names, and that's what we use nowadays. Now, the seasons obviously follow the sun, the solar calendar, and so to keep the seasons correct in the Jewish and old Chinese calendars, we add months. The Jews add a 13th month 7 times every 9 years, and that's called a leap year. And so we will do that this year in 5,784, which is 2024. So did you know that there's an app on your Apple Watch that can tell you what day it is in the traditional Chinese calendar or in the traditional Jewish calendar? So here are the months of the Jewish calendar. You have the numbers and you have the names. The numbers were written in the Bible. The names were adopted in Babylonia, and they are originally Aramaic. So we start with number 7 is Tishrei, 8 is Cheshvan, 9 is Kislev, 11 we talked about Shvat, and then we are now in Adar actually. We're Adar 1 because next month, the next new moon is going to be that added month for us. And then number 1 is Nisan, number 2 is Iyar, number 3 is Sivan, 4 Tammuz, 5 Av, 6 Elul. But pay attention. Did you notice something strange? That the Jewish New Year is number 7. That's when the Jews celebrate New Year. And if you have Jewish friends, you should wish them Shana Tova on the first day of Tishrei, on the new moon of Tishrei, which is the 7th month. So why is Jewish New Year on the 7th month? So the reason is that there are two different and competing ways or systems of counting the months in Jewish tradition. Nisan is in the springtime. That's the month that the Jews came out of Egypt in ancient times. They were slaves in Egypt, and they were redeemed in the month of Nisan many centuries ago. And that's here written in the Bible, that it says that this month has to be your first month. And that's why the months begin in Nisan. So Nisan is the new year for counting months. The Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah, which has many rituals that are similar to some Chinese rituals where you pray for a good year, that is Rosh Hashanah. That is actually the 7th lunar month. And that is the new year for counting years. And according to ancient Jewish tradition, Adam, the first man, was created on this new year, on the beginning, and this was the culmination of the creation of the world. So this year, we believe, according to ancient Jewish tradition, the world is 5,784 years old since creation, and that was the first of Tishrei, and that occurs always in September. And actually, because of this, traditional Jewish documents are dated according to this year, according to this new year. So this year is 5,784. And for example, my eldest daughter got married in last May. So in her marriage contract, because she did the traditional Jewish wedding, so her marriage contract says, it gives this year it was last year, so it's 5,783. So that's the year according to the Jewish tradition. And now we come to the Jewish New Year for trees. And that's important for Jewish agricultural laws. And that's the new moon of the 11th lunar month, Shvat. Now that's, as we said, only one opinion of Beit Shammai, that it's on the new moon, the first of the month. But Jews nowadays follow the other opinion of Beit Hillel, which it's the 15th, which is the full moon. And that was actually 3 weeks ago on the last full moon. And that we said is Tu B'Shvat. So now you know 3 of the Jewish New Years. The new year for counting months is the new moon of Nisan, the first month. The new year for counting years is the new moon of Tishrei, and that's the 7th month. And then the new year for counting trees is the new or the full moon of Shvat, which is the 11th month. So, which one is the last new year? That is the new year for animals. And that's the 4th new year that's mentioned in the Talmud, and that's the new moon of the 6th month, which is the month of Elul. And that's because farmers are supposed to sacrifice every 10th animal that grow each year or that are born each year, of the sheep and the cows, and they are brought to the Holy Temple. In the olden days, they were brought to the Holy Temple in Jerusalem according to this biblical verse. So now you know all 4 of the Jewish New Years, and you also know how the Jewish calendar works. So here's something really great for the Chinese Jewish conversation. Because the 2 calendars are lunar, our major festivals often coincide. So next year, our Jewish mid-autumn festival called Sukkot occurs in the full moon of the 7th lunar month, which is Zhongqiujie. It's going to be the same as the Mid-Autumn Festival. And so therefore, these 2 festivals occur at the same time, at the full moon, because in the ancient days, that was the time that they celebrated the harvest in the farming times of where everybody was really involved with agriculture. And next year, also in 2025, the Jewish New Year for trees, according to one opinion, will be exactly at Shin Nian, because it's going to be the first month is going to be the Jewish 11th month, and so those will coincide. So next year when we gather, perhaps for the New Year again, we'll be celebrating the Jewish New Year for trees. And at the full moon, it will be Tu B'Shvat, which is the other tradition, and that will be exactly at the Lantern Festival. Thank you all for listening, and Happy New Year, and good luck in the Year of the Dragon.